Alright guys, so I have had a couple questions recently about making slab points, how I make them, questions about the slabs themselves. So I thought, I've done a few videos on that in the past, but I haven't really done anything recently. Here are a couple of recent slab points that I've made. They're not perfect. This one's a birdie. This one's a bit bigger. And not too bad. And this one here, actually, it's a little bit of tri-flow. See if yeah, there you go. You can see that. So that's a really cool effect when you can get that. So anyway, I'm gonna go grab a slab and then we'll get right to it. Hey guys, Greenbird here. Hope everyone is doing awesome. It's been a little bit since I've done a video. Been a little busy, had a few things going on, but here I am. So I've had a few questions on some of my older slab videos about slabs, so I thought, maybe it'd be a good time to bust out a slab. It's been a while since I've done it anyway. I did take the time to do a couple points, in the last week or so, but what I'm going to do today is this slab here. It's probably going to be a knife. It looks like it wants to be a knife, but we could always shape it back into an arrowhead if we wanted to. But I don't know. I don't normally like to do knives, but I kind of feel like this one wants to be a knife. I can see a little bit of, not banding, I guess is the wrong word, but a little bit of texture in there. I bet that's going to be a nice slab of rainbow. So, I know there's been a couple of questions regarding how thick the slab is, what type of, pattern that I use when I'm flaking these, and whether, how I use my deltas. Mark, I apologize that I have not had a chance to reach out to you, have a conversation with you. I've just been busy. But hopefully you're still subscribed, and you will have that opportunity. So the first thing I always do is grind all the edges on my slab. You can just grind the edge you're working if you want to, but I like to grind them all. Especially like this one's been put away for a while, so it's been kind of clanking around a little bit. Alright. Usually the saw marks on the edges of the slab are much more ground than this one. I'm not sure why this one is so smooth. I'll put my glove on just for the heck of it. Not super necessary when you're running slabs, but I'm going to do it anyway. So if you've watched some of my other videos, I'll run a flake, I'll space it just a little bit, run another flake, space it just a little bit, and it leaves these little deltas. And I use those deltas, I come back and I get those to run the second set of flakes. It'll give you a nice pattern, but also I use them because if for some reason, especially when you're first starting out, a slab like this is probably not going to give you this much of an issue, but if for some reason you get a little island in there, that little space that you left with that extra delta allows another opportunity to drive a flake on there and take off that island. And by island, what I mean is a piece of, maybe the flake didn't go all the way across or halfway, and it leaves a little island, I guess, of saw mark in the middle there. Especially once you start, when you first start doing slabs, you're probably going to try and drive them as much as you can, and you'll get overshot flakes and things like that. But at some point, if you want to really improve your convexity, you'll start driving them intentionally only about halfway, and then get them about halfway the other way, and that will help with your convexity, which leads me to another point. There are different ways of slabbing. Some people will take, where's my flaker? Yeah. Some people will take a very deep flake. All right, and by deep I mean they start a lot further in. Sorry, the camera's a little closer than it normally is, so I'm having a hard time keeping everything in frame, but by deeper I mean deeper in towards the opposite side of the edge. Now that will give you a much steeper flake. It's not going to drive as far probably, but it'll give you a much steeper flake, contribute to convexity. Other people will take more shallow flakes, and you're probably going to drive a longer flake, and it's going to create a thinner type of pattern to your point. So when it comes time to giving it convexity, later down the road you're going to have to take shorter flakes. Otherwise you're just going to end up with like a real flat point, which is fine. Some people like that. A lot of people like it actually. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the second method. I'm going to just basically skin this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and drive these flakes. Let's do something different. I'm going to try and drive them like halfway, not completely across. So I always start with the tip, and if it breaks off, don't worry, it doesn't matter. A lot of times when you get these slabs, you know, they need a little bit of shaping and stuff like that anyway, so the tip is never going to really be how it comes. So I'm just putting my pressure flaker down on that edge, I'm loading up and plucking away. Oop, that was a bad example. There we go. Obviously on the tip, see I'm using a little bit less pressure because there's less space that I have to cover, less material. Now if I really wanted to be good and consistent, I could use my legs instead of my wrists. Right? You can't see that because you're zoomed out too far. I could use my legs, I could pressure flake with my legs. Saves a lot of wear and tear on your wrists. Also kind of helps you control the piece a little bit more too. So that right there is a great example of why I space my flakes. I could take that off right now if I wanted to, that saw mark, but I'm going to leave it because I know I'm going to do another run anyway, so who cares. Yeah, I missed a little bit there too. It's because I'm trying to only go halfway instead of all the way across. We'll see how that works out. Loading up, pushing down, and then plucking out. Just like scooping frozen ice cream, the further down I get, the wider the base is, the more pressure I have to load up on. Make sure you clean the groove of your pad out every time. And that's really it. I mean, this is not rocket science. This is basically just rinse and repeat. But we'll do a full run on both sides so you can see how I take care of my deltas. And that's not to say it's the best way to do it, it's just how I do it. Sometimes it gets a little tricky when you get to the base. If you've watched some of my other videos, you'll see that sometimes I end up coming up the base. I mean, that's an emergency fix, but you're really better off if you can just take everything east and west. It'll just look nicer. So, looks a little bit wavy, right? Because you can see those deltas. Personally, I don't care about that because I come back and I take them on my second run. I know a lot of people don't do that. They'll grind it right down. I grind it down a little bit, but not a lot. And there are some spots here, you know, you can see where I kind of still have the saw marks. I spaced it a little bit. I don't want to say too far because I did it intentionally, but I could come back right now and take those, but I'm not going to because they're going to come off when I take that second run anyway. Now this is the unusually smooth side. I don't know why it's so smooth, but it is. Just give it a good grind. I wish I had a higher grit, well, lower grit, I guess, grinder, but I don't. I have this and then I have some sandstone. I need to get like a broken grinding wheel like some of these guys have. I can't even find my sandstone. It's around here somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to do it towards that same edge, right? Just so we can get one side completely skinned. I don't know if I'm going to do this whole thing on camera or not. Alright, let's do it properly. Use my legs. Not so much at the tip. Making sure I let everything fall out of the groove of my pad before I move on. You get a better flake pattern too if you keep your angles consistent. Like you can see on this second side, I kind of went a different direction. I don't know if you can see that or not. So they line up with the other flake pattern, but one side is kind of straight and the other side's a little bit zigzag. You can control that. If it's important to you, you can control that, but it's not so important to me. Here in a second, I'll show you what I mean by an island. Alright, so you see that island in the middle there? So it's kind of risky because if I'm not able to drive flakes to take that off, it's going to be stuck there. And you can run into some real problems as far as, you know, like changing the dimension of your edge because you have to take extra flakes to remove it, messing up your center line, things like that. But I've done this enough to know that I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to clean that up. I might not be. I mean, you know, not trying to brag or anything. I'm just saying I think I'll be able to get that. And to me, it's worth it because I'm trying to get more convexity to my points. Not so much just regular thin points. So if I get a couple of points that end up having islands on them, but it's a learning experience for me, I'm okay with that. Yeah, so that island followed me all the way down. But that's okay, because when I put pressure on these deltas, and by deltas I mean the bumpy parts, right? That flake doesn't just always go straight across. It's going to want to feather a little bit. So hopefully I'll be able to get those to feather out. We'll see. If not, I'll have to change my approach. But either way, whether you do it halfway across or you try and shoot the overshot flakes, the basic, you know, elementary technique of the flaking is really the same. It doesn't change. You're just loading up, you're pushing in, plucking off, the flake is driving. It's kind of a unique slab because it's definitely very smooth. Especially on this one side. Alright, let's get back to it. So we got this one side done. Now I want to flip it over. And again, I'm going to put a little bit of pressure because it's the tip. It doesn't need a lot. Just a little bit. Just kind of like a little, almost just wrist movement at this point. Squeeze my legs. Sometimes you have to back up a little bit. And by back up, I mean on the tip. If you get in there a little bit and you have like a little hook or eagle beak kind of looking thing, just back it up and take care of it. It's not a big deal. This one's giving me a little bit of a trouble, but I might just say forget it. There we go. Let me give this a little more grind. If anybody out there has a broken grinding wheel and wants to send me a chunk, go for it. Same thing, loading up on the edge, scooping ice cream. Down and then out. And if you want, you can try and, you know, keep the same Keep your deltas the same on one side as they are on the other. Like I said, if flake pattern is really important to you, I mean, you should get decent flake pattern anyway, but some people really like to make sure everything lines up, get those beautiful ribbon patterns. For me, it's fun sometimes, but there we go. Alright, trying to make sure I'm going a little bit deep. I don't want to quite drive those flakes that far because like I said, I'm trying to only drive them halfway so I can work on my convexity. Okay, so once you start getting down to the middle here, one thing that you probably do want to pay attention to, let's see if I can adjust this a little bit, is the way you support this. If you press in the middle like this, where your groove is, maybe not now, but once it starts to get a little bit thinner, it's going to snap right in half. Everybody does it. No matter how long you've been napping, everybody does it. So I try and look at it like a bar chord, or like I give the floor the middle finger. So I'm putting more pressure on these two sides than I am where the groove is. Oh, okay, that one I didn't drive enough. Probably should have driven that one a little bit more. I'll probably drive the next one a little bit more. Can you see that? Yeah, there we go. This is something new for me. I'm not used to doing it this way. But again, the flaking is no different. I'm loading up, pushing down, and then plucking outward. I can see the rainbow starting to come out of this piece here too. This is going to be a beautiful piece if I keep it in one piece. Yeah, and I can already see I'm going to need to do some work on the base there. We'll see. See what the second run does. So that's where we're at right now. There you go. Again, I apologize. This camera angle is a little bit different for me. Alright, now let's make a match. This is that one edge. It needs a little bit more love. And I'm not going to really mess with this angle too much. I'm going to let it be a knife if that's what it wants to be. I was just making myself a little bit better platform on that. That's all I was doing. Taking relatively shallow flakes. When I take my flake, I'm trying to, my best. I mean, you can't be perfect, but I'm trying to line up my deltas. And I know I keep saying that, but I'll show you what that looks like in a second. A lot of it is just kind of like my eye. There we go. Okay, my angle's a little bit different. Gotta change my angle, but in this case, I actually have to take an upward angle because look at that. This view is killing me. Look at that island, or not the island, but look at the. Where is it? Right there. See how that? If I take this straight across, I'm going to leave myself an island right there. So I do kind of have to take that at an angle. I don't think about about that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to get the rest of that from the other side. Let's make an island. Right? Who cares?
That's what the island looks like. I don't know if you can, I can't see any of this. I hope you can.
So we'll come back, we'll clean that up. That won't be a big deal. Okay, downward pressure, loading up. Squeezing my legs, plucking out. Absolutely terrible for the wrists, but that's what happens. But the more you use your legs, the better it is for the wrist. Ooh, that was a terrible flake.
Look how bad that one was. I didn't get anything.
Let's just back up and fix that. Yeah, I gotta grind this. This edge is a lot smoother than what you'll normally get with a slab. I don't really have a good grinder for it, so I'm just kind of doing my best. That was bad. That's a little better. Probably going to have to take some deeper flakes as I get closer to the base here. There we go. That one sounded better. Alright, so as you can see, it doesn't look as pretty as when you take those overshot flakes. But we'll clean it up. It'll be just fine. After the second pass, maybe I'll try and show what those deltas look like. So I'm grinding a little bit of the deltas off, not a lot of them. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just strengthening those because those will be my platforms. So I don't want to grind them all the way down, but I want them to be strong. So those wavy parts, that is where I'm going to be taking my next set of flakes for the most part. I may have to adjust a little bit.
Boy, the lighting is terrible, isn't it? I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I think you'll actually be able to see it better. Maybe not. Yeah, this is bad.
I don't know. If this video ends up not being good, I just won't post it, that's all. Or maybe I'll post it and just do another one as well. Okay, so there's my tip. Now I'm going to find that next delta, that next high spot, well, in this low spot because it's towards the pad. It'll be a high spot if I tip it over. I'm going to drive that flake. And in theory, if you're doing that, you should flatten everything out pretty well. Okay, here's where we want to try and get a little bit longer of a flake. See if we can get rid of those islands. And we did. Load up some pressure, pluck it out. Oop, that one didn't drive very far. Gonna have to get that from the other side. There we go. That one was good. That one was real good. Oop, I slipped a little bit.
So you can see how that kind of flattened out that side quite a bit.
But on the next run, you'll create more deltas off the backs of the other ones, so it's nothing to be concerned about. We're going to have to work on this base though when I get to the bottom here, because it's not, I'm not doing a great job thinning it out. East and west. This tip is going to give me some problems too, I can tell. Sometimes if you get a slab that has kind of like a damaged tip, it doesn't work quite as consistently as the rest of it does, but it's not a big deal. You just have to give it a little bit more attention. Alright, so that'll be good for now. Let's speed this up a little bit. I'm locking into my,
You can't see it, but I'm locking into my stomach instead of my leg.
you know, I have a hard time seeing sometimes when I'm down low like this, so if I lock into my stomach almost like an Ishi stick, that helps me get a little bit closer to the piece and see a little bit better. As you get older, you will notice this, inevitably. There we go. Okay, so we're getting these islands out of the way. I'll show you in a minute. This one might be stubborn though. Let's see if I can get that one out. And we did. Look at that. Come up. We'll see how that affects our flake pattern. Alright, so I'm going to flip it over and do the same. So you can see we got those islands out. Is that an island or no? Yeah, that might be a little one. Let's see if we can get that out real quick. Pretty much.
Alright, so you can see we got this one side here completely skinned. Flake pattern's not bad.
But we're not done yet. Gotta keep it. Can't celebrate too soon. Again, come across the top of those deltas a little bit, but mostly on just on that edge. Let's see here. It's this side. I forgot what side it was for a second. Well, I gotta do them both, but let's start here. And because of the way that this tip is, I am gonna just slide up a little bit, just skip a little bit of it. It's not gonna make a difference. It's not like you have to do the whole thing. If you have one part that's a little bit thinner than the rest, no harm, no foul. But the thinner it gets, the harder it is to work your deltas. So you kind of want to be, in my opinion, a little bit more careful each pass you take. I got a fat spot on the other side, so I'm actually just going to get rid of that right now. High spots here. Take those down. As long as those high spots match up with the high spots on the other side, you're not going to really affect your pattern. Your pattern will be just fine. That's pretty close.
Right.
So I'm going to do this other side real quick, and then I'm going to do the base as well. In fact, I think I'm going to need to do a pass on both sides of this edge here. I might have accidentally flipped back over to that other side. All my jibber jabbering. No big deal. Again, if I find a spot that's flat, I'll skip to the next delta. As long as it lines up on the other side, I don't care. That was kind of that platform, that delta that I just took was not very strong. We're probably going to notice that when we look at the flake pattern. Okay, let's take it on this side. And speed things up a little bit. And then we'll take a look and see what it looks like. One thing I don't like about working slabs is, boy, it gets all over you. Yeah, a little more. A little bit of a deep dive on that one. That's right.
So we've got both sides skinned 2 passes, I believe. But let's take care of that base. The base is still pretty thick.
Like I said in the beginning, your best bet is to get that east and west, but if you can't, you got to run it north and south. Sometimes you just have to. Or me, anyway. I don't like to let the base get quite this out of hand. But I was kind of preoccupied with the rest of the point. And the reason that I like to do it going, you know, take the flakes east and west is because when you run them north and south like this, you are affecting your flake pattern. I mean, a lot of this base might not even end up in the point, but, you know, it's just something to keep in mind, I guess. I got a broken piece down here, so it's not doing me any favors either. Something buzzy flying around me. Okay, I need a long one here. Let's see what happens. I get it. I don't know. Most of it. Let's see if I can get the rest right here. I get it. I did. I got it. So we're almost ready to take a look at this. Be patient. That broken part there is giving me argida. But that's okay. I'll address that later when I finish the point. It doesn't need to be part of this conversation. So I'm not going to finish this, like I said. I just wanted to do a quick rundown of the technique I use. Take off these deltas. Not take them off, rather, just strengthen them. Bring them down a little bit. Because that will give you lots of problems if you don't do that. What'll happen is they'll be so weak they'll just flip off. You won't get a flake. You'll just get like chatter. So you want them nice and strong so that they'll drive a flake when you put your pressure in there. So let's quickly take a look at this in a different perspective. Hopefully a little bit better. Here, hold on a second. Probably not going to edit this video, so it is what it is. So you can see, let me zoom out here. There we go. You can see that flake pattern pretty much lines up. Enough. Right. Looks kind of like overshot flakes, really, in a lot of places. But that technique is going to give me more convexity than just shooting overshot flakes. And let me see if I can get the color to pop on this, because this is rainbow. Rainbow Obsidian. It's just the wrong time of day, sorry. You can see it in there, but it's not going to come out and play. Oh, a little bit right there. A little bit right there. But in person, in the sunlight, this is much more rainbowy. So I'm pretty excited about this. I can't wait to see what this turns into. Probably a knife. I think I'm going to finish this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this video one, just to kind of give everybody a chance to ask questions if you have to, or give me time to think about, what I'm going to do in the next video, because these slabs are pretty elementary. I've done a bunch of videos on them. It's nothing really complicated about them, but like I said, I've had a few people that have kind of had interest in them lately that have left comments on some of my older videos, so I thought, why not do something new? And let's see if I can get this to come out a little bit more convex using this new method that I'm trying to learn. Not trying to learn, because I've done it before, but trying to improve upon. So anyway, until next time, guys, I hope everybody's doing awesome. Be good. Try not to burn anything down or get violent in the streets.